So the Kalen DeBoer thing settled, I think, with Michigan. It's not happening. He's going to be at Alabama.
He's busy.
Yeah, he's busy. So that, as we went down our pecking orders, our hot boards, the next guy on the list was Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. So I actually talked to somebody on Saturday, got a little more information about this. So Kenny Dillingham, it comes out very early Saturday morning that he has agreed to terms with a new contract with Arizona State. We know Kenny Dillingham is an alum. He grew up in Scottsdale, which is 10 minutes from Tempe. His family's all there. His in-laws live in the same neighborhood as him. I think his parents live in the same neighborhood as him. So he's in a good spot. And so basically, I was told that Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham have actually been working on this deal for 2 months. And he decided basically like Wednesday of last week, middle of last week, that he was not leaving. But I think he probably had his agent keep the pressure on a little bit until he got it to where they wanted it. And that comes out. So Michigan now in need of another set of candidates. But what I thought was interesting is Kenny Dillingham then does an interview with the local media in Phoenix, where basically he says, "Hey, I'm looking for a $20 million donor to stroke a check. Who's got $20 million? Who can write a check right now and be the sugar daddy or sugar mama for this program?" And it's amazing to me because he just turned down the chance to never have to ask that.
Yeah.
To be in a place where he wants to be, and he has to ask that.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, huh?
Wasn't it? It's and he dropped the name of 2 professional golfers who have a connection, certainly deep connection to Phoenix and Arizona State, and Phil Mickelson and John Rahm, I believe, pointing out that, just maybe they could afford to cut a big check. It was Kenny's never beating around the bush. He's just kind of out there with whatever, pretty blunt. And that was a blunt way to try to get people around Tempe to understand that to compete with the roster recruitment and retainment these days, you need some big donors to cut some big checks. So it was interesting. I don't think, Andy, the Michigan people ever had that much confidence in Kenny coming. Right. It just didn't seem like, they were going to be surprised.
He made it clear he liked being there.
Yeah. And they
knew Arizona State is a more prestigious academic institution, let's be honest.
You're just rubbing it in at this point.
So now it feels like
there's no waste management open in Ann Arbor, boys. Sorry.
Yeah, it could be a few days longer maybe than expected in the Michigan coaching search. They did this first round. This is how, as y'all know, how often these searches go, right? You have a search firm, you have a list of candidates, you start going through them, whittling them down to 8 to 10, and you do Zooms or whatever with those candidates. That part has happened, and I think they zeroed in on the Kalen and Kenny. Okay, those 2 things didn't happen. So now you go back to your pool you interviewed, and the issue is I don't know that anybody in the pool that were interviewed in the first round is going to eventually be the Michigan coach. So then you do the old recalibration.
Reset.
Reset. And I don't know specifically if that's happening, but it's just, at least my understanding is that this could be several more days, which tells me another round is coming of interviews and inquiries.
It's good for Biff. I'm not kidding.
Yes, it is. You're right.
Biff Poggi's the interim coach. Yeah. And he's got a groundswell where he has all the players on the current team, which nobody ever listens to them.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting them. I'm just saying that never happens. And
the scene in the Disney movie, it never happens in real life. Yeah. Okay, just trust. Yeah, just trust us.
Yeah, but he also has quite a few former players who wouldn't mind seeing it. My issue with that, and God, I would love to see a sleeveless Biff Poggi lead Michigan out of the tunnel.
For sure.
In September. That would be amazing.
They ain't letting that guy wear no sleeves on Michigan. Yeah. The University of Michigan's not letting that guy go sleeveless.
Michigan man will wear sleeves.
Yes.
But I don't think that's maybe the best long-term solution, because if you do that, you are probably putting an expiration date on his tenure, and you probably don't want to do that because that probably hurts you long term. But it does feel like a reset. The OG, the originator of this podcast, Dan Wetzel, tweeted that out Saturday night, where he said that you wouldn't be shocked if it took quite a bit longer, because it does feel like they are, as Ross said, recalibrating the search. And I do wonder what that means, because we've been throwing names out. We've been throwing out Jed Fish, Eli Drinkwitz, Clark Lee. These were all names that were involved in the other coaching searches that just went on, that just wrapped. So the question is there somebody else? I have a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, which I think would be hilarious. You ready?
Yeah.
Harbaugh. Harbaugh leaves the NFL and comes back.
Which Harbaugh?
Not Jim Harbaugh.
I knew it. There
John
it is.
Harbaugh.
Yeah. I've heard this. Yeah. I've heard this one. Yeah.
Wow.
I've heard this
How about this? How about the former Utah coach?
I like this, because Kyle Whittingham,
He's not done.
I did it on this show, right? I said retirement which should not have said it.
Yeah.
Well, you were the first that to really call this to attention, and then I had people in the source world echo this. But the idea of him riding off into the sunset was incorrect. He wants another job. It's pretty obvious his comments afterwards, where he really framed it around like, I don't want to be somewhere I'm not wanted. So. By the way, once again, just to go back to the scoreboard on head coach in waiting, never works. It never works. Don't do it. It never, ever works.
And that brings us to Will Muschamp getting hired back at Texas as defense.
What the hell? Yeah.
But the Whittingham thing, listen, Kyle Whittingham has really done nothing but kick ass since he succeeded Urban Meyer as Utah coach.
Yeah.
20 years of ass kicking. The problem not this year, they were good this year, but the previous two, bad quarterback injury luck, holding out hope that Cam Rising was going to suddenly be healthy at some point. And I think that derailed both seasons. But all of the other seasons, like other than maybe Utah moving up into the Pac-12, they were good to dominant. If he wants to coach, and his workout streak suggests to me that his workout streak, by the way, is in the like 3,000s of days, I think.
# no days off.
Or maybe 6,000s. I don't know. He told me what it was, and I just, my mind couldn't wrap my mind around it.
I don't remember. It's like at least 5-7
I don't
years.
I don't trust any man who squats on Thanksgiving. I don't like that.
See, that's the person I trust the most, because their priorities are in order.
No, not on Thanksgiving.
Never skip leg day.
Trainers and strength and conditioning guys are like, I ain't doing, not on Thanksgiving. Anyway, Michigan's going to have to make a compromise here. Michigan is, Harbaugh, the other Harbaugh, the one who was there and had a bunch of dudes get arrested that worked for him, is kind of, I would say, incorrectly colors this modern era of college football at Michigan, where satisfying the demands of the Michigan brass, of the modern game, of the weird, fart huffing culture there of like, it's got to be a prestigious allure, he's got to be a statesman. There was a study that says if you
smell your own farts, you will live longer. So
well, guess what? The
Michigan men are going to live forever.
They're eternals. They're eternals. Yeah. Okay. Congratulations. Jim Harbaugh is a Highlander.
There can only be one.
Right now, there is not a candidate. I know we all have kind of heard the same things in different phone calls and stuff. There is no candidate that even comes close to satisfying all of the areas you have to check in Ann Arbor. It's very similar to Notre Dame. Not entirely similar, but it's very similar. And so
that profile of job, I think you're right.
Absolutely. I don't know who they
have some similar academic issues too, as far as like transfer portal and taking players in Notre Dame and Michigan.
I just don't know. And this is not, by the way, I guess pro Michigan for a second. No conspiracy theory here, guys. No way would Michigan put themselves in the situation they're in right now with the market being as dried up as it is because of the timing.
Yes,
this idea that they waited on more.
That's to bed. Yes.
No way, man. They do not want to be in this situation right now. That is apparent.
Yeah, and this is a tough spot, and the fact that they are like a lot of really smart people are considering the 1 year Biff Poggi Band-Aid. Tells you how tough a spot it is, because I think even Biff would say that's probably not the best long-term solution. So
But to keep the roster together,
I think Biff would love the job long term, but I don't know that he's the right guy. I mean, we saw him
to
in
keep
Charlotte.
the quarterback, Andy, and keep the roster together right now. It's probably the one thing that would do it.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, but you can't even really raid coordinators to make a splash hire there either. I mean, there's a couple guys I think you could pick off, but it just this is really, really inopportune timing for Michigan.
Yep.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know that you want to keep this staff together either. I don't think this is that important to keep this staff together. So
this is the point in the conversation where we have to mention, like, I don't know what kind of terra firma we're looking at within the athletic department in Ann Arbor as well. That's all. I think I know other candidates have talked about this. Like, what am I stepping into here? You know, it's a top whatever job, but right now, what is the condition of this thing?
Well, think about what
Ward
Kenny
Manuel is
just
heavily
did.
involved in.
Yeah.
It sounds like Ward Manuel's heavily involved in making the hire.
Yeah,
but
it does.
That doesn't mean that he's the long-term AD, because there's an investigation going on into his tenure.
And they'll have a new president probably by the end of January or earlier. They'll have a new president as well. So, you know, when you get a new president, just like when you get a new AD, the coach's future is always kind of
I can feel the
doubt.
sleeves being cut off the shacket right now.
This is not a bit. I think right now it's a legitimate option. And I think it's been entertained and discussed.
Oh, this is going to get aggravated.